some of the activities depicted are inherently risky. Day 3, and it gets sketchy right away when I find myself up a dead-end mine road. I had to back down this steep and narrow shelf road made out of loose mine tailings, but I had a great view and it all worked out. We had seen a video of Jeeps driving inside the reward mine, and we wanted to check that out for ourselves.
Perhaps back down to the road we were on.
Looks like there's a road that follows the edge of the ridge. But at the time of this trip in 2016, we could only find limited and conflicting information on the actual entrance location. We did eventually find ourselves on a road that looked promising. The route had a couple rough sections that would be challenging without four-wheel drive and decent ground clearance, but everything was within the capability of our stock vehicles. It's looking promising, but let me get the rest of the way there. Part of the challenge is that you can't see the entrance until you are virtually already there. We find ourselves in a rugged box canyon looking out at a $1,000,000 view of snow-covered mountains. We went a short way into the mine on foot to verify we could get the Tacoma in the tunnel and that there were places to turn around.
Okay, let's go in. Let's go then.
Andy thought this was great and excitedly urged us on.
What if our lights die?
We also ran into a couple guys in a 4Runner that had just come out of the mine and who were able to give us the lowdown on roof clearance, underground conditions, and the best place to turn around.
Here, let me go show you my light.
With our preparations complete, it was finally time to drive on in.
Okay, come on, Dad.
It took about 4.5 minutes to reach our first stop, so I've sped up the video. It was a bit unnerving initially, but I quickly settled into a groove. After a couple minutes to look around, we headed further into the mine and attempted to follow the directions we had been given. I think here is where he said to go right.
I do remember right. That's awful.
Yeah, that's not a place for a truck to go. Okay, so yeah, you just gotta watch the fronts. Well, you gotta watch the backs. It's not bad. Y'all end all. Yeah, do you mind spotting me out of here?
Okay.
'Cause this is, After 6 minutes of tight quarters maneuvering, we were turned around and headed back to the surface. The tunnel we were exploring is part of a complex of mines and workings that produced silver and gold from the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s under several different names. While driving into the mine is a unique experience, there's plenty of history to see in the nearby canyons, and I certainly wouldn't mind visiting the area again.
We made it.
Yeah, we survived. The trip down from the mine was mostly uneventful, but apparently one of us had kicked up a boulder on the way up.
Like in the bums
When you heard that ting, I think I got the boulder that was moving when it did it. It was pretty big. Clonk.
Alright, well hopefully it's something that's not that important. It was certainly bound to happen eventually, but crunching my new truck on a rock wasn't desirable. At least the damage was superficial and Charlie captured some good video. We are starting to work our way south and toward home, but there's still plenty to explore before the day is over. And our next stop is both odd and familiar. The Alabama Hills have been used for filming over 400 movies since the 1920s. Everything from The Lone Ranger to Iron Man has incorporated this fantastic scenery. The name Alabama Hills seems just as out of place as the rock formations themselves, and there's no visibly obvious connection to the state of Alabama. There's definitely some historical naming quirkiness at work here, as it turns out it was named by prospectors in honor of the Confederate ship CSS Alabama. We only spent a short time here exploring and driving around, and there's far more to see. If you plan to come here, a little research will turn up movie filming locations and some great photographic opportunities. For us, we need to keep moving toward home, so we find our way back to pavement and continue south down the 395 to the 14.
Proceed about 5 miles to your destination.
We're making a couple more stops east of Red Rock Canyon, so there's gonna be more dirt in our day. We bound along the dirt roads heading to Bickle Camp, a quirky mining camp that's been preserved by a series of caretakers. Unfortunately, we find it closed, so we continue on to our final objective. I'll let Andy tell you about it, but I'm not going to vouch for his optimistic mineral identifications.
That tunnel is called Burro Schmidt Tunnel, by the way.
Ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Turn your light on. There was a guy named Schmidt that was his last name, and nobody knows his first name. Somebody does, but I don't. Oh, guys, look what I found. Gold. And he dug the tunnel. He used dynamite and just a pick. This was probably a hunk of gold. Maybe? Maybe not. I think I found a bit of gold, but that's it. Oh, I found some. Well, I actually found gold, but they got all the good pieces.
Burro Schmidt Tunnel, in a nutshell, is a half-mile long, hand-dug shortcut through a mountain that ultimately wasn't needed.
It ends.
Yep, goes that way. At the other end of the tunnel, you're treated to a panoramic view of an entirely different desert valley. We're on the other side of the mountain.
I guess we can walk all the way over. Be about a mile and a half.
We watch the setting sun bring an end to the day, and our trip is also coming to a close. All that's left is the walk back through the tunnel, some final pictures, and the long trip home. For us, it was our own expedition to new and unfamiliar locations. Done by amateurs, it is truly an amateur expedition. Thank you so much for joining us.